Hey everybody, so two praise reports. One, he got his chest completely closed today, so that's a really good one. And two, his fever is down. He actually broke into the 36s, which basically normal, it's in centigrade, but normal Fahrenheit. So he's in the 36s, which is like 98 for our regular temperature in Fahrenheit. So those are two big things today that he has done. Now, he's still not out of the woods yet. Just because the temperature's down does not mean that everything's taken care of. We've been doing this with interventions like Tylenol and wet rags on his head. And so it may be artificially down, so we just gotta wait and see what happens. Also, when they did the chest closure today, they did not see any signs of infection. However, that does not mean there's not one there. The only way for us to really know is as the days come on and go by, then we will see how things go. And then if things don't get better, they'll do scans to see if they can figure out if there's an infection hiding under the skin or in the bone. So we will keep you updated as we go. But he did have a little episode this morning where he had lower tidal volumes, where he was breathing in less. And so we've kind of figured out that he has been overcoming some of the sedation. At least that's the theory, is that he's a little too awake and then he's kind of fighting the vent. So when they increase the sedation, his tidal volumes get better. And we think that's probably some of the reason why he's been having a few of these episodes. And so that, along with him being on a paralytic, he can't take care of secretions by himself like we do, like phlegm. You know, we kind of cough it up and get it out. And those are secretions that kind of settle down into your lungs. For him right now, because all his muscles are paralyzed, he can't really do that. So then they're having to suction and do some additional things other than just suctioning, like doing saline washes and things like that to kind of get the gunk out and help him breathe. And so that, along with the sedation, seems to be kind of the key to making sure that he's staying where he needs to be on his vent settings. He also had his IJ come out, and this is his intrajugular. So they had an IV that was in his jugular vein in his neck. They do this pretty much whenever they send a kid into surgery, and usually they take it out a couple days after surgery. However, given his circumstances and how things have gone and all of his complications, they left it in for an extended period of time. They did the same thing during the first surgery. But this evening, it started leaking around the edge, started bleeding a little bit. And so they were like, yeah, it's time to go ahead and take it out. So they ended up taking it out. Unfortunately, that caused a bit of an issue because then it was a lack of access. They needed a little more access. And so they ended up putting in a PIV, a peripheral IV in his arm. And so they can get more access now. Now, the other thing about the IJ is what was measuring his central venous pressure, his CVP, which was telling us basically his right ventricle function. It's an easy metric that just shows up on the screen instead of having to do an echo to see how his right ventricle is functioning. And so we no longer have that. However, it had been trending down over the last several days. Today it sat down at like 13, 14, which is the lowest it's been since pre-surgery. So again, it's good. They're pretty confident that given the episodes he's been having the last several days, that his right ventricle has been strong enough to handle those episodes, which is a good sign. That's the silver lining to all of these episodes he's been having, is that it means that his heart has been getting stronger. Because had his heart not been strong enough, then these episodes would have probably sent him into cardiac arrest. So those are, we don't want him to have episodes, but that's the silver lining to him having them and getting through them, is it means that his heart is being able to handle the stress. Now, the goal is for him to come off of his paralytic tomorrow. So hopefully that works. We're going to knock on some wood, cross fingers. That's kind of the hope, is that tomorrow he will be able to come off his paralytic, and then all those muscles will become unparalyzed, and it'll also help him with his vent settings, because now he'll be able to get some of that gunk out himself and move things along, and hopefully he'll turn a corner after that, and we won't. Specifically what we're going to be kind of praying for is that he tolerates coming off the paralytic, that he will continue to progress, aka meaning that he doesn't have any complications like infection or anything like that pops up, because we're really hoping that once he comes off paralytic, he can kind of turn a corner and start making some serious progress moving forward and going a little bit faster than what he's been going. And then again, pray for Kathy, Mallory, and myself. It's kind of hard being on this floor, especially given his complications in history. And they've just had a really, really busy weekend. There have been a lot of alarms going off, and that's triggering for everybody. So just pray for us that we'll kind of goose fraba it and woosah, is what Mallory says, to be able to just kind of, be able to handle it. Now, that being said, his bedside nurse yesterday made him this thing right here. You'll be able to see it. It's his 4-month-old. Yesterday was such a long day. We had so much going on that I completely forgot to put it in here. But it's him taking stuff one step at a time, because that's how he's been, one step at a time. He is not a quick recovery. Like, he doesn't take off for the races. It's just one change, one step at a time. And then also Child Life made this book right here for Hunter to help him with understanding what Jon David's issues are with his heart. If hopefully none of y'all ever end up in this situation, but if you ever do end up in the hospital and you have other children who may need help understanding what is going on, ask for Child Life, and Child Life can help you do things like this or help explain it to your child. So that way they can kind of understand what is going on with your child that is in the hospital. And then Hunter had fun practicing fishing today, and you'll see that in the clips. But that's all I've got for today. Y'all have a good night and God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, that was nice.
Oh, I catch a fish.
And Jon David, tell everybody bye-bye.